You know what I'm saying? It's God, family, then money. But at the end of the day, I still need to get it. Stay focused.
I stay in that mode, been bumps, keep my car on the road. Been solid cause I'm under that code. Big body so I carry the load. No problem cause I handle my business. Big racks in the trunk of the Bentley. Spend the money then I double it quickly. Big boss can't hit with too many, I'm making a killing. Coming through with some ice in the shine and not rude, I'm respectful and
What's up? All right, back on this jank. So, listen, I know y'all ain't heard me in a minute. You fix that. Look, I know y'all ain't heard from me in a while, and the reason for that is because I was really trying to focus on what's going on in the world and getting my stance on it and just taking in everything that's going on right now. So I didn't really want to take any attention away from that. And not saying I have a huge following base, where what I'm saying, millions of people will be distracted, if you will. I just want to do my part to keep the focus on the Black Lives Matter movement, okay? So, today, I'm going to do something a little different. I just want to take a break from all the serious stuff, and it kind of goes along with what's going on out here in the world, right? So, today is going to be a story time, right? And so, for anybody who knows me personally, they know that I love telling stories. I'll tell an hour-long story, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to try to keep it condensed, okay? So, what's going on, YouTube? It's the Advice Slanger. What you slanging? Hey, what you slang gonna come back to you, okay? So, today is gonna be a story about the time I got the police called on me, okay? And you're like, Advice Slanger, you got that police called on you? For what? About to tell you right now. So, about a year ago, I'll say about 8 or 9 months ago, okay? I was working a job that I was working just simply before I started working at my medic job, because I currently hold my EMT license, and so I had got my license, that previous semester, and I needed a little part-time job just to make some money before I started working my full-time job as a medic. So, while I was working this job, I had a great time. I enjoyed this job, and it was weird because usually I'm one of the more younger people that work, at whatever job I'm working at. I'm usually the youngest person, if not one of the youngest people there. Well, at this job, I was like one of the oldest people. And at the time I'm 21, so I'm like, that was kind of weird, being in that situation. I wasn't an old head. There was people older than me. But the people that were older than me were like the managers and supervisors and things like that. So I really enjoyed this job, and, it was a good time. It was a little retail job, I was working, and so there was this guy, right, that nobody liked. Nobody liked this guy, and at the time, I didn't have any issues with him, but people didn't like him to the point where I walked upstairs and everybody was in a group and they were all talking about how they did not like him, how he was a creep and how he was a weirdo and things like that, and I was like, hey, look, I don't have no issue with him. He ain't done nothing to me. As a matter of fact, this guy was actually pretty helpful to me. I thought we was cool. He was real helpful. Like, at one time, these people came and they bought a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm talking about, well, they didn't buy it. They had me scan a whole bunch of stuff. And if you've ever worked retail, you got to scan the items individually and, whatever else you got to do at that particular job. So I scanned each item individually. They probably had like 60 items. And then they tried to go and scan their card. That mug said declined. They looked at each other, looked back at me, looked at each other. They said, hey, we're going to be right back. And they never came back. So they had all this stuff. So I left it behind the counter. Guess I was a mistake. He said, hey, man, you can't do that, whatever. And he was telling me, hey, this is how they want the shirts and things like that. He was really helping me out. So I didn't have no issue with him, So this guy is an older guy, okay? This isn't some dude that's young or my age of 21 at the time. Like, no, this dude was an older dude. Like, this dude been working for the company for like 10, 15, almost 20 years. So this dude got to be like in his early 50s, late 50s, maybe even early 60s. So this isn't some dude that's all young and nah, but he's one of those old dudes. So keep that in mind for the rest of the video. You know what I'm saying? Just try to give y'all a better image of what type of guy this is. So I didn't have no issue with him. Okay, I didn't have no issue with him. And I even said, I was like, listen, he ain't never tried me. I ain't had no problems with him, but I said, I'm sure that'll change. I'm sure if he's tried everybody else here, I'm sure my time is coming. So a couple days later, that time came. So he came in one day. I was already at work. It was me, you know, my friend Brianna, shout out. Her link gonna be down at the bottom. She does paintings and she sells them. She has a whole website set up, real professional, dope paintings. Hey, link right here. I'm gonna put it right here, and it's gonna be in the description for you to get to her website. So it was me, my friend Brianna, this other kid, and you know, and there was somebody else there. So it was 4 of us around, you know, the register part. Okay, so we're sitting there, we're talking, you know, we're just chilling. Now everybody kind of, you know, had their assignments. Okay, you be over here in the suits, you be over here in jeans or whatever else. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had their assignments, but we were all chilling because we had only been there for like 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't nobody in the store. Everybody was chilling. So he comes around, and so he walks up.
Hey, when did you get here?
And I was like, oh, well, about whatever, 30 minutes ago, whatever, you know, whatever time I said, can't remember what time it was. And he asked,
Well, when did you get here?
you know, he asked my friend Brianna, when'd you get here? She said,
Listen, I just got dropped off early. My shift don't start till this time, so.
you know, and so he left her alone. What time you get here, right? So we all told him. He walks off, and we're like, okay, that's pretty weird. So he comes back around, and he's like,
Like, he says, listen, the men's section is just out of order, and it's just bad. You know, we need to do something about it.
so he's talking to me. You know, he's saying it like I should go do something. Now, keep in mind, this dude is a regular sales associate, like the rest of us in this circle. Okay, he's not no manager. He's one of those old dudes that's been working there forever. So he feels like he been working there long enough. He pretty much a manager. That's what he feels like, but he's not. So he has no authority to tell anybody what to do. So after he's talking about the men's section and all that, he's talking directly to me. Now there's other people in the group. You know, we're all working the men's area. You know, but he's talking to me specifically, and I was like, okay, well, I said, I'm at the register, so I'm trying to, you know, so I was helping a couple. It was an elderly couple that came and they were buying something, but they had left because they had to go get something from somewhere else. And so I was like, okay, you know, whatever. I said, go ahead, you know, I'll be right here when you get back. So when he came talking about that, I told him that. This dude says,
Well, have him do it.
pointed to the guy that was next to me, and I was like, I'm already right here. Why would I have him do it? And I'm already right here. So then he goes on and he's like,
Well, I'll do it.
and I'm like, dude, I'm already right here. Like I'm already standing here at the spot waiting on these people to come back. They had literally just walked away too. And so he was like, I said, look, dude. I said, I don't want no issues. I ain't trying to problems with you or whatever. He said,
Oh, well, you got one.
so he walks around, comes to the front of the register. Okay. And he's like, well, let's go talk to, you know, who the manager was or who the GM was. So he's,
No, let's go talk to him. Let's go talk to him.
and I was like, so and at this point, I'm cool with the GM. So I'm like, the GM can come out here and talk to me. I said, because I'm cool with him. I knew he wasn't going, it would be a waste of time for me to go over there. And, you know, I knew what he was trying to do. So I was like, you know, dude, the GM could come and talk to me. So the elderly couple came around. I checked them out. You know, I said, hey, have a good one, whatever. He ran off and went to go get the GM. So the GM comes out and he was like, hey, Steve, you on the suits? I said, yes, I am. I said, I'm checking out this couple right here. I just got done checking them out. I said, I'm going to the suits right now. He said, cool. I said, thank you, sir. He said, all right, yes, sir. Boom, over and done with. So then one of the other managers, I was real cool with him. He wasn't the GM, but he's another manager. I'm real cool with him. He comes and he's like,
He's like, hey, man, you know what's going on between you and old boy?
and I was like, I said, dude, he came over here talking about asking everybody what time they got here and, you know, telling me that, you know, that I had to go fix all the men's and doing all of that and just, you know, running his mouth or whatever. And I had everybody else. They was like,
Yeah, that's what happened.
right? So, you know, I said, so look, listen, please talk to him because I said, I don't want no issue with him, man. I'm just trying to be here and work like everybody else. I said, so please talk to him and tell him that I'm not the one for that, okay? So he goes and talks to him. So everything's cool. He goes to his section. I go to mine. Everything's cool, whatever, right? So fast forward to about middle of the shift, almost the end. So another friend of mine who I got hired on with, we were in the same orientation. He was helping out these people. He was checking them out. And, you know, I seen him and I went and did something else and I came back and he was still checking them out. Now, keep in mind, it had been like 10 minutes. And if anybody, like I said, does the register, they know that's a long time to have somebody at the register. That's a very long time to have somebody at the register. And I have like 2 things. So I go over there and I say, well, you know, what's the problem? He said, oh, well, these socks, you know, are scanning a different price than it says on the tag. I was like, well, just scan something else. You know what I'm saying? He said, well, I already had called for, a manager to come over here. And so I was like, okay, I said, well, I'll do it, man. I mean, just scan something else so these people can go ahead and go. He was like, I ain't doing it. I said, I'll do it, whatever. So I scanned the thing, whatever, helped him out. He told the manager we didn't need him, and I did that. So my boy walked off. You know what I'm saying? He walked off. He was like, cool, appreciate it. So he walked off. So from the register, I can see him. I saw the guy that don't nobody like walk all the way around. And he went over there and he talked to him. Now, I have to add this in there because it plays a factor. My friend, he's a white kid. He was 16 years old. He's a white kid, right? And throughout the whole day, he had been trying to befriend him because everybody else that worked up there was minorities. You know what I'm saying? There was one guy, he was Indian. There was one guy, he was like, I think he was Cuban, of course, and then there's, the black kids that work up there, whatever, right? Or black people, I'll say. So he's really the only white guy, plus, my friend. So he doesn't know that me and him are friends, but he'd been trying to befriend him this whole time, right? Trying to, come on, you be on my side. So he goes over and he talks to him. So he's talking to him, whatever. And I know he's talking about me because while I was checking the people out, he was literally standing there behind the register, just watching, so I said, do you need something or, somebody can help you with? He was like,
No, I'm just looking.
you know how it be, oh, I'm just looking, yeah. I said, okay, whatever. So, like I said, I knew he was going to talk to me because he went over there and talked to a boy. So after he talked to him, right, I knew he was saying something. So, which was probably a bad decision on my part, okay? But I walked over there to my friend. I said, what'd he say? He said, he was talking about that, you don't run men's and, talking about me, you don't run men's and you think you run it up here and you wasn't supposed to do that and you not no manager and, what I'm saying, I'm tired of him being up here, whatever. So I was like, okay, bet. Because at this point, he's bothering my friend. I have a problem with defending people when they may not need defending, okay? Oh, that's me. I was like, okay, because he's bothering my friend. So at this point, I'm like, all right, whatever. So I walk around. I see him walking this way. I walk around. I catch him right by the socks. Now, my little station was the register at that time because I had already finished my other thing. So I caught him at the socks. And so I said, hey, dude, come here, right? Already, you know what I'm saying? Because at this point, I'm hot. I ain't gonna front. I'm like, I'm pretty hot. It's up now. So I'm like, hey, dude, come here. He's like,
My name's not dude.
I was like, whatever. The first thing I said was, I was like, dude, you got a problem with me? Soon as I said that, his eyes got big. He turned around and started walking off. Now, unfortunately for him, he was already walking the way that I was going back anyway. I was already going to go back to the register after we got done talking. So he started walking to the register. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going that way anyway. So I walked, so he walked off and I said, man, look, you're not about to walk off and act like you didn't hear what I'm trying to tell you. I said, listen, I'm not one of these little kids that you can try to boss around and whatever, right, like that. I said, you ain't gonna go around talking about me to other people when you could just come talk to me. Because I said, listen, if you don't keep my name out your mouth, I said, we're going to have some problems. Now, soon as I said that, he turned around, eyes wide. He looked like, oh my. And he skirted off. Like I'm talking about, he sped walked. I knew he was going straight to the GM. But I didn't care. I didn't say I was going to beat him up, nothing like that. So I'm thinking, whatever, he's just going to go tell whatever, and I'll just deal with him when they come out. So after that, the manager I was real cool with, he came out and he was like, hey man, what's going on? And so I explained to him the situation, about what he did and what he was saying and what I did in response. And he was saying like, man, we don't really do man to man. Because I told him, I said, I just spoke to him man to man. I wasn't trying to get the manager involved. I didn't want nobody to get fired or nothing. I was just trying to see what was up. Because obviously he had an issue with me. He was like, man, we don't do that here. I know, but we just don't do that here, man. So it's just, we can't do that. You know how it be, you know how it is. So you just can't do that. Okay. So, I went in there and sat in the office, and so I ended up going home. So I did not work the next day. So the next day, the manager was real cool with me. He called my friend Brianna to get my, my phone number, because I guess he found it or whatever reason my phone number wasn't in the database or whatever. So he ended up getting a hold of me, and so he called me. He said, hey man, dude, I just want to let you know that dude called the police on you. Because he said that you threatened him. And I was like, the police on me? I was like, oh, wow. I said, oh, okay. He said, I mean, I don't want you to be blindsided when you come back and all that. So I just letting you know, man. He said, but listen, everybody at this store, all from the GM on down, nobody thinks you did anything wrong. Everybody has your back. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has your back. Everybody got you. So, you know what I'm saying? If they come trying to, you know, mess with you, you know, we got your back. I said, cool, appreciate you, bet. So, click, hung up with him. So I talked to mom about it, you know, whatever, and told her about it. And she was, you know, moms be worried. So she was kind of like,
oh, you probably shouldn't have done that, you know, whatever, you know.
So fast forward. I ended up continuing to work. So what they did is they did not put us on the same schedule. So when I was coming in, he was leaving. And so I had to write a statement. He had to write a statement. They had everybody who was in the circle write a statement. And, you know, everybody who heard, you know, when he first came up and talked to me and all of that, you know. So everybody had to write a little statement about what they knew. Okay. So there was a couple days when I didn't have to work. You know, like I think it was like 2 or 3 days I didn't have to work. So throughout those 2 or 3 days, they kept calling me, and I'm thinking like, oh no, y'all not calling me into work. So I kept, you know what I'm saying, declining that mug. So the day came when I was supposed to go back to work, and it was like maybe an hour before I was supposed to come in, and they called me. So I'm thinking, oh well, they still calling me. You know, I obviously worked today, so what they calling me for? So I answered up. You know, I picked up the phone, I answered it, and they was like, you know, the corporate did an investigation, and, you know, they came to the conclusion that they were going to terminate your employment. And, you know, I knew who it was that had called me. It wasn't the manager I was recruited, but it was somebody else. And everybody loved me. Nobody had an issue with me. I was cool with everybody. So I could just hear in her voice. She was kind of like, yeah, you know, this ain't us, you know, basically. But she couldn't say that over the phone. But I knew she was saying, like, this is not us. This is from corporate. So you know, so that's how I ended up getting fired. You know what I'm saying? Basically. So what I want to talk about when it comes to that is that dude called the police on me, not because I threatened him. He called the police on me because he wanted me, some black kid who thought I was taking over his section, he wanted me out of there. He already didn't like the fact that everybody liked me and nobody liked him. He already didn't like the fact that I was up there leading. I had just got there, and once I figured out how everything went, I was leading. I was, hey, man, you know, let's do this or whatever. I was leading. Nobody ever listened to him like that. So he felt some type of way about that. Also, he was angry that I approached him the way I did. Now, if he'd have been a black dude, he would have probably at least asked, what you mean have problems? Now, only thing that I meant, wasn't talking about I was going to beat him up. No, literally, I was talking about going and talking to the managers. That's what I meant by having some problems. Bad choice of words on my part. And like I said, that's why I tell y'all, the energy you put out is the energy you gonna get back. What you slang gonna come back to you. I slung out nothing but negative energy. I was hot when I was talking to him. And I wasn't yelling and screaming, but I was hot. My tone was very stern with him. So because of that, what came back on me is I ended up getting fired. You know what I'm saying? I ended up getting fired. I did not handle it the correct way. So that's why I tell y'all that. But he was already angry about all the other stuff. And then on top of that, the fact that I'm black. And he didn't like that at all. You know, I'm black, and I stood up to him. I stood up to him and, you know, exerted some type of dominance, and he felt like he was threatened by it. Had it been a white guy, he probably would have never said nothing. He would have called the police. He maybe would have went and told the manager because he was that type of person. But I think that dude is a little bit racist because he would always snitch on all the black kids. He would never tell them on any of the white any of the white kids. Never. You know, so he would never snitch on them, any of the white people. He would never snitch on them, but he would always go and tell on the black kids for using their phone, for, you know, whatever it was, whatever you could think of that was maybe against the rules. He always would go and tell. So I think the dude was a little bit racist, and, you know, and that's what needs to change in this world, because the fact that he called the police, he was hoping that when I came back to work, that they was going to arrest me and take me downtown, and then he wouldn't have to worry about it. He can wipe his hands clean of me. That's the only reason why he called the police. Now, no, I shouldn't have came at him like that, but I did not come at him in no threatening manner. I didn't walk up on him. I didn't buck up at him. I didn't do any of that. I was literally like at least 12 to 15 feet away from him. Like, I was nowhere close to him. I was close enough for him to hear me, but I was not close enough to where I couldn't even have reached out and grabbed him if I stuck my arm out and attempted to do so. So that's why it plays into what's going on. Like, that is a clear-cut sign of racism right there. He called the police at a sheer, hey, the audacity of this black kid to come at me. You know, and to keep in mind, this is an older dude. You know what I'm saying? This is an older dude. So he already, you know, got that mentality of, you know, back in my day, you know, you couldn't do that type deal. So, like I said, you know, so that's what plays a part. Like I said, I came with bad energy, but he did that solely because he wanted something to happen to me. He wanted something to happen to me. Or even worse, he didn't care what happened to me. He didn't care what happened to me as long as I was out of his area so that he could continue to boss everybody around, because those kids aren't going to say anything to him. They trying to keep their little job. I didn't care, but I was literally about to go work a job where I was making double what I was making at that little part-time job. I wasn't caring about that. I was just waiting to tie me over until I got to my actual job, you know? So the fact that he did that really shows how racist people can be, and how people, you know, how there are people that will call the police. A lot of times on somebody, you know, person of color, they will call the police simply because they feel a certain way. No, I never once touched him. I never once did any of that. So, I mean, you know, I didn't really care about getting fired, but what if the police would have showed up? What if I would have stayed? What if I stayed there and the police would have showed up? And you know, or they would have caught me out in the parking lot or something like that. Like, he didn't care nothing about it as long as I was out of his hair. He didn't care. And that's the issue. We have to start caring about each other. No, not all police are bad, and this isn't a shot at the police or saying the police would have killed me. No, I'm not saying that. But also, I am saying that doing that is always dangerous. When you call the police on a person of color, you're always rolling the dice. You're rolling the dice on somebody's life because you don't know what type of officer. You know, there's never going to be a time when a white officer is going, you know, pull up, or even a black officer or a Mexican. There's never a time when an officer is going to pull up on a white person and because they don't like white people, they're going to beat them up or kill them or even shoot them. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen on the regular. It's not nearly as much of a chance for something like that to happen if the person who's getting the police called on them is somebody who is white. That's just the reality that we live in, and that's why the Black Lives Matter movement is so strong, and that's why it needs to be taken so seriously, because that needs to change. That right there needs to change. The fact that he called the police on me simply because I, a black man, approached him in a seemingly threatening manner and challenged his authority, so he felt privileged that I'm gonna just call the police. It wasn't enough that he already went to the GM, because he had already went to the GM, you know, and told and all that, and woo-doo-woo-doo. He already did that. So if he was just trying to get me fired, he would have left it at that. But he called the police on me. He called the police. So that's how that ties into what's going on. So I just wanted to share that story. You know, I know it's a long video, but man, I had to share this story. I had to share this story because it's just, you know, my friends already know, and I laugh about it now. And I definitely did learn to handle situations differently if a situation similar arises again. You know, you don't come at somebody with negative energy like that, because what you slang will come back to you. Yeah, I may have won that little battle right there, you know what I'm saying, and he ran off or whatever. I may have won that battle, but I ended up losing the war because then I wasn't making no money. So I ended up losing my job simply because I came at him on that type of time. Because if I would have came at him differently, he could have told, but that he wouldn't have had anything to tell. He couldn't have never said that I tried to threaten him, because I didn't. You know what I'm saying? I never did in the first place, but he wouldn't have even felt threatened if he was being real. But, you know, not everybody's very rational. So you got to keep that in mind as well. So what I would have done differently in that situation is probably just went to the GM and been like, hey, dude threatened me earlier talking about we got a problem. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, y'all, that's what it was. You know, like I said, I had to share this story. I know I ain't been here in a while, so I had to post a long one, give y'all something to, you know what I'm saying, to entertain you a little bit, you know. But please like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to do more story times and things like that, you know what I'm saying. But just a little break from all the serious, the serious talk, let's give it a little break. So I love y'all. I love y'all so much. Thank you for, for watching. You could have watched anything else, but you decided to watch this. So listen, love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, you could be like, oh boy, and not know how to love nobody else. It's that Vice Slinger out.